Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Big Four podcast. No Luke, no Alex today, just Mike and I. We're going to recap a wild week in the Big Ten. That's most of what we're going to be doing today. So I guess we'll start a couple days before Christmas. Just really going through the impact games that we saw here. We'll go day by day. I don't really take much out of Illinois and Penn State, but the other two games, Ohio State defeating Rutgers, they had to go on a big run there at the end to win that game. And Northwestern, who we've seen develop over this week, beating Indiana as part of their little three-game run there. So what do you take about out of these games, Mike?
Got to give credit to Northwestern. Indiana's a very good team. They go into Assembly Hall. They get a big win there. And Ohio State, I thought Rutgers had that one in the bag, but you got to give credit to Ohio State. Played very well. And they just continue to play well. They got a big win today. So they haven't looked really any better this year. You got to give credit there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Ohio State, they looked like they were dead in the water. But,
What happened?
Ohio State looks like they're dead in the water. But, big run there to win that game. So, yeah, good for them. They get Seth Towns back. And, they look pretty good. And then in Northwestern, it just proves Archie Miller needs to be fired. Nothing more than that. I mean, Northwestern's been playing pretty well. But, you can't lose to Northwestern if you're Indiana. It's just embarrassing. He's a horrible basketball coach. We know a lot about that. They're in a dogfight with Penn State right now. We'll see how that turns out. But, yeah. All right, let's move on to Christmas Day. It was really a wild Christmas Day, and it started off with Wisconsin and Michigan State. Wisconsin winning that game. It was a very good game, start to finish. And then we had Purdue beating Maryland. That was a good game. Michigan pretty much handled Nebraska, and one of the most wild games of the year, Iowa falling to Minnesota in overtime. So what do we? We'll start with the Michigan State game. You can go down the line. What do you think about those games?
Games you talk about, I wasn't.
The Christmas Day games.
Christmas
Day games.
Okay, hold on. Let me get to the Christmas Day games. Let's see. First game, we played well. Michigan State played well. Wisconsin's a very good team. They played a perfect basketball game. You got to give credit to them. They shot the ball extremely well, played very good defense. I thought we shot the ball very well, which was, it's kind of frustrating when you shoot the ball well. You just get outplayed by, right now, a much better team. So that was a very good win for Wisconsin. Purdue, Maryland's really playing well right now, so that's a good win for Purdue over a Maryland team who, I don't know. I didn't think they were top three in the Big Ten, but, I was a little bit higher on Maryland than others. Michigan, solid win at Nebraska. Nebraska's easily probably the worst team in the Big Ten, but hey, get a big road win, and you got to give credit there. Minnesota, very surprising win, obviously over Iowa. But Minnesota, they're playing their best basketball right now. Marcus Carr, Liam Robbins, the best big man, second best big man in the Big Ten. But he really did a great job on Luka Garza. A number one block man in the Big Ten, Liam Robbins. And it's not like he's been playing a bunch of nobodies. I mean, he played Kofi Coburn. He played Luka Garza.
Yeah, well, Hunter Dickinson has much better stats than Liam Robbins.
Well, no, he doesn't.
He does.
Because Liam Robbins is the number one block man in the Big Ten, and he also shoots threes, which Dickinson can't do.
Well,
you also got to take into account that Dickinson's like 25 years old.
Well, he rebounds the ball better.
Excuse me?
He rebounds better.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does. Look at the stats.
You got to look at the fact that he's 3 years older than Liam Robbins.
Okay. Yeah, the Michigan State game. I actually agree. I thought Michigan State played okay. But the difference in this game for me And I know a lot of people are down on Michigan State right now. They'll figure it out. I mean, they're not as good. I don't think they're as good as everybody thought they were going to be. Like a top 10. They're a top 20 team probably. They'll figure it out. The difference in this game for me is Wisconsin has a dog that they can go to at the end of the game. Michigan State does not. In the wise words of Luke, you need dogs on your team. And Wisconsin.
Well, we have one, and he did as best as he could, but you need help. It's just not just one guy.
Well, they don't have a dog. You have to have a dog that you can go to at the end
Is
of the game.
27 points not good enough for you?
You can't go to a big guy at the end of the game to win you the game.
He's not a big guy. He's a stretch four.
He's too big. He can't handle the ball. Like, you have to be able to handle the ball.
So you're telling me Garza isn't a go-to guy?
That's not who they go to at the end of the game. Go to Bohannon.
Okay, Bohannon sucks.
Bohannon makes every big shot. And Dimitri Trice is the same way. He makes every big shot. Is Dimitri Trice the best player on the team? No. But he makes every big shot, and that's the guy they go to. And Michigan State doesn't have that guy.
No, Brad Davidson makes every big shot.
Well, Trice, they have plenty of guys.
They got a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
They got a bunch of guys they can get it to.
They're a bunch of dogs.
Lean forward.
They're a bunch of dogs, and,
Their entire starting five, it's just there's nobody you can sag off of. They can all play.
They're a very good team. There's no shame in losing to Wisconsin, but the bottom line is Michigan State does not have that guy at the end of the game to go give the ball to and say, go get me a bucket.
I think we do.
And I
think he's in the biggest slump of his career.
And I said that at the beginning of the season. They were going to struggle on offense, especially at the end of the year, and we're seeing that.
Well, you just haven't taken into account that we were a very good offense until our two of our three best players.
Well, I'm taking into account that you started playing Big Ten teams who play defense, and you can't play offense now.
Well, Rocket Watts played Big Ten teams the last 3 weeks of last year, and he averaged like 18 points a game.
I didn't say. Well, yeah. Well, when he's being guarded heavily now at the end of the games, wasn't being guarded heavily last year because they had Cassius Winston.
He's not being guarded heavily now.
It's a different roster. It's a different roster. It's a different roster.
Not really.
Yeah, it is. You lose your two best players. It's a different roster. All right. All right. Other games here. Purdue. That's a solid win. I think Purdue. I was wrong about them. They'll probably make the tournament. I don't know about Maryland. We'll see. Although they did get a big win this week. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Michigan. Decent win. Could have played a little bit better. But what I was impressed with is I will give Fred Hoiberg credit. He was not going to let Dickinson beat them in terms of scoring. But, he had 13 and 15. He passed the ball really. He's a great passer. He passed the ball really well. Found the open guys, made the right plays. Franz Wagner finally with a big game. Livers, big game. Everybody played well on the offensive end, really. Sean D. Brown, another big game. And the only reason Nebraska was close is because Teddy Allen made some of the most ridiculous shots I've ever seen in my entire life in the first half. But Michigan was able to pull away and win that one. And in the Iowa game. This is crazy. I turned this game off because I thought it was over. And so Iowa's up 3 with like 10 seconds left. And they missed 2 free throws, and then they don't foul up 3, and Marcus Carr's at 3, and then Minnesota wins in overtime. So I mean, that's a game Iowa should have won. But you got to give credit to Minnesota. That's a good win for them. They're a good team. Yeah. All right. Illinois beat Indiana. I don't know if you want to say anything about that, but Northwestern over Ohio State. This was the 26th. What do you have to say about these two games, if anything?
Northwestern, good win. Ohio State kind of had the game there. They kind of blew it. You hate to see it, but it happens in Big Ten play. You face a good team in Northwestern, a team that even though they lost yesterday, they're still playing very well. It's a tough loss for Ohio State, but they'll be fine. Illinois, solid win. Got to win those games at home, and they were able to get it done. So give credit to Illinois. They haven't been playing great, but they've been able to get some wins. They lost that one game, but hey, they got a big win over Penn State. Came back in that game and got the win here against Indiana.
Yep, Illinois getting the job done. We'll see what happens with them moving forward. I'm not really sold on them entirely, but we'll see. And then Northwestern, I've just been really impressed with Northwestern. They lose yesterday. We'll talk about that, but good win there. And Ohio State, that's a game that they had a chance to win and close out, and they couldn't do it. So that might be one they look back on at the end of the year, but we'll see. Good win for Northwestern, though. All right. Just another. This was Monday. I mean, we're at the point now where we're having to go through every single game because these games are becoming unpredictable unless Nebraska's involved. And Maryland beating Wisconsin on the road, just a stunner. And then Michigan State gets absolutely blasted by Minnesota. What do you have to say about these two games?
Oh, you just can't take a day off in the Big Ten. Maryland is they're a young team, they're an unpredictable team, but hey, they really brought the energy. The bench was really up and ready to go. Got to give credit to Turgeon, the guy with the big nose, but man, he really coached well. All it takes for him to coach well on the road is no fans, so give credit where credit's due there. Wisconsin, kind of a letdown game. Not surprised that they lost. They were playing very well, but before the Michigan State game, they kind of struggled against Nebraska. So, it's not the most unpredictable result. Maryland's a team that can kind of get to them athletically a little bit. Michigan State game, obviously not ideal. Tom Izzo talked about in his press conference how he was okay with the defense. The defense wasn't the problem, and for the most part, I kind of agree with him. And towards the end of the game, I thought our defense was poor. But, when you shoot under 20% from the field in the first half, it's going to affect your defense in some way, whether that be fast breaks off of misses or just, the psyche of missing a ton of shots. That's going to affect you in the defensive end. I wasn't too upset about their defensive effort. Offensively, you just got to make shots. I mean, turnovers, we had like 6 or 7 turnovers, so that wasn't a problem. The problem was you just got to, when you get the shots, you got to make them. Right now, we're not making those shots. We got Rocket Watts, who's in a bigger slump than he was in last year, and last year he was in a really big slump. So that's a big problem for Rocket Watts' career. He's just been up and down, up and down, up and down. Hopefully he's up by the end of the year. Aaron Henry got benched, didn't even start the game because he was
up with that?
Turnover machine. Well, he wanted to send a message. Obviously, it didn't work.
Yeah, it worked out well. You guys played well.
His stats didn't really reflect how bad he played. He didn't play horrible. He was all right. But when those two are not doing well, and then the third guy who didn't do well, Hauser had a bad game. He had an off day after his big game on Christmas. Just 6 points on 1 for 8 shooting, 0 for 5 from 3. All 5 of the threes were wide open. Just couldn't get it to go. Langford 2 for 10 from the field. Watts 1 for 9. Lawyer was probably our best player, 2 for 6. But I thought our bench brought some energy. Malik Hall, I think he should be in the starting lineup next game. I love the way he plays. I think we should go small, get Hauser in there, get Hall in there, and move kind of like what Izzo did in this game. You got to move Watts to the 2 because obviously it's just not working. He's not a great point guard. He looks uncomfortable. Maybe you want to start AJ Hoggard, his name is. And I don't get why Izzo doesn't play Marble more minutes, and I don't get why he plays Marcus Bingham so many minutes. I mean,
well, Marcus Bingham played 2 minutes, so
yeah, that's way too many. This guy's a 6'11". He's a 6'11" forward with a 7'3" wingspan, and he sucks. And I don't understand it. It makes no sense. He was kind of a raw prospect, and he just has not been, to the level where he needs to be. He's a liability on defense, except for when he plays when he plays a center that's a back to the basket guy. He defends him pretty well. But if he plays a guy like Liam Robbins who can get out to the 3 and shoot it, he's just a complete and utter liability. He can't get out and guard the perimeter. So I don't know what the heck's up with him. Gabe Brown had a bad game. But he's been playing really well lately. I just, you got to make the shots when you get the opportunities. You got to make them. I think, Henry's going to get better. I'm not too worried about him. I think he'll embrace the challenge. I think Watts will get better as well. I think he'll improve. He'll get back to the level he was playing early in the year, like the Duke game. he was just unstoppable when we played Duke. He was unstoppable. He made a lot of great plays at 22 points. Not, his shots off. I think he'll get that. And if we get, all our guys playing pretty well, I still think we're a very good team. Obviously, that's not happening right now. Really, the game against Nebraska couldn't have come at a better time. We needed a game like that right now in the schedule. Obviously, the game might be close, but at least, if you play bad against Nebraska, you'll probably still win. But you certainly can't shoot 16.7% in the first half and win. So, that's got to improve. But listen, these guys, they're too good. They're too talented. I don't think we can come back and win the Big Ten, but hopefully we can get to maybe 500 by the end of the year. That would be a pretty optimistic result.
Oh please,
maybe.
don't do that. So when they go like 12-8 in conference, you can be like, oh, what an overachievement. Well, because you said 500.
And the goal is to win the Big Ten. I don't see it right now, but hey, listen, anything can happen in this Big Ten. Get on a hot streak like we did at the end of last year. You never know.
No, actually, every team's going 10-10.
Yeah, that would be great. But yeah, just gotta focus one game at a time. Nebraska, gotta be laser focused on Nebraska.
Yeah, the Wisconsin game, I would agree. You can't take a night off. It's just crazy what happens in this conference, and just another example right here. Nebraska, they're not any great team, or sorry, not Nebraska, Maryland, not any great team. But Wisconsin coming out as a trap game, coming off a big win, and they laid down. To be honest, they laid down, and Maryland's a young team. They took advantage, so credit to them. Good win for Maryland. And then this Michigan State game, Liam Robbins goes off because Michigan State has no big guy.
Kithier played well. He's just too small on the defensive.
Yeah, fine. He can play the 4, but he can't.
Very good rebounder. He just struggles everywhere.
They don't have that big guy, and I was saying that was going to be a problem against like a Michigan, and you clearly see it's a problem against Minnesota. So we'll see what happens against a team like Indiana, Trace Jackson Davis. But some of these teams, they got a lot of good big men in the Big Ten. So that's a concern. Michigan State didn't shoot the ball well, but you're right, they're too good. They'll figure it out. But we'll see. Good win for Minnesota though. Minnesota's been playing well. They're definitely on their way to making the tournament. Richard Pitino's doing a great job as always. So good credit to them. All right. All right, let's cover these two games and then we'll move on. Rutgers over Purdue last night, which I thought was a lot more impressive than what you might think, and Iowa beating Northwestern by 15. What do you say about these games?
Well, Rutgers played well, and Coach Peichel's doing a great job down there. They had a 15-point lead in the first half. I got to give Purdue credit; they came back. I like the way Purdue plays, especially offensively. They're much improved from where they were last year. Rutgers, same way. I think they're improved offensively from where they were last year, and that's scary considering that they're still a great defensive team. As for Iowa, Iowa thrives against a team like Northwestern. Northwestern, they're a very good offensive team, but they don't really play defense, and it's really shown. They played okay defense against Ohio State, but they're not a great defensive team, and Iowa took advantage. So that was pretty much expected, but give credit to Iowa. That's a tough matchup for anybody. This Northwestern team plays hard. They got some pretty good big men. Pete Nance, very good stretch 4. Miller Kopp, obviously.
Well, okay, so Northwestern's so good offensively. You going to give any credit to the Iowa defense?
Well, they gave up 72 points. That's not good enough. You got to be better.
Well, according to you, Michigan State gave up 81 to Minnesota, and that was fine.
Well, when you shoot 16.7% in the first half, you're going to get a lot of fast break opportunities.
When Iowa runs down the court and shoots within 5 seconds every time, Northwestern should have a lot of possessions.
Did Iowa shoot 16.7%?
They're never going to.
They shot 48.3% and 42% from 3.
They play great defense.
They didn't. Well, we'll see. Iowa played a very good defensive team in Minnesota. They collapsed.
Oh,
We'll see how they
please.
play against
Oh, please. Yeah, Minnesota, a great defensive team. I'm going to pull the clips a couple podcasts ago of you saying that Richard Pitino does not teach defense. They scored 95
No, I never said he
points.
doesn't teach defense. I said he doesn't teach offense.
No, you said you
They
didn't
don't run offense.
No, I'm pulling the clips.
They don't run offense. They just give it to Marcus Carr and say,
No. I'm pulling the clips.
They give me a bucket. That's all they do. It's a pick and pops, pick and rolls. That's about it. But it works.
All right. Yeah, so Rutgers, they didn't have Ron Harper in this game. They still won. You got to give credit to Rutgers. This is a really impressive team. They're very good all around. They're a well-rounded team. They can shoot, play inside. Watch out for them to possibly win the Big Ten regular season. And then this Iowa game, very impressive win for Iowa. Northwestern had been just on fire. Looked like they were going to just find a way like they had been in the second half there, but Iowa was able to pull away. Jordan Bohannon, as always, making big shots. He made a lot of them in this game. So credit to him. 24 points. Frederick, 19 points. As always, you can't leave him open. And I saw something from John Rothstein, and I completely agree with it. Iowa is a better team when they're not just solely relying on Luka Garza and they can spread the ball around more. Especially when teams are going to start doubling Garza, and they're good enough to do that because of these players like Bohannon and Wieskamp, who only had 10 points last night, and they still won by 15 points. Once
they start playing teams like Rutgers and Purdue, and really Purdue gave them as much as they could handle, especially in Iowa City. They got to start playing some defense, because when teams like that come against you, they're going to be shutting down the three, and they're going to have the ability to hamper Luka Garza. And Purdue kind of did that pretty well.
Yeah, they beat Purdue by 15 points. So.
Yeah, well, they got to prove that they can play defense, and they haven't done so.
They played good defense against Northwestern. They only gave up 72 points.
Well, Northwestern struggled.
They gave up 55 points against Purdue.
They had an off night shooting the ball. It had nothing to do with their defense.
They gave up 55 against Purdue.
Yeah, well, Purdue doesn't play offense.
Northwestern shot 44%. Northwestern shot 44%. That doesn't sound like an off night.
When Purdue gets the ball, they just hand it back to Iowa because they only want to play defense. That's all they want to do.
Okay, well, Northwestern shot 44%. Doesn't sound like an off night. Sounds like, Iowa did a nice job.
Well, I mean, it was not great. I mean, I guess if you compare it to the 26 or 24% that we shot, I guess.
Yeah, and I also want to shout out Connor McCaffrey. Another great game for Connor McCaffrey. 1 point, the ultimate glue guy.
Yeah, shout out big air ball 3 that he shot in the first half.
And Keegan Murray emerging as a big player for this team. They're deep. I will continue to say it. I think they're going to win the whole thing. I don't know if they're going to win the Big Ten in regular season, but they're my pick in the tournament.
You saw how Gonzaga dismantled them.
They won by 11 points. Good for them.
Yeah, well, it was all garbage time. They were up by like 30.
Yeah,
they just
Gonzaga. But by the way, I wasn't seeing in the chat this week. I didn't see you criticizing Virginia's defense for giving up 95 to Gonzaga.
Well, Virginia's not right now. I mean, when you got a white guy like Sam Hauser out there, I don't know what you expect from their defense.
Well, I don't know. You're telling me how great of defense they are.
Virginia?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Pick a game from this week, not from the Big Ten. That you want to say something about, and so we can discuss it.
Oh God. You can pick your game first.
Oh, good. Well, I don't have my game yet, so hold on.
Oh, great. Okay, I'll find a game. Let's see. What do we got? Oh. Well, Arizona got a big win over Colorado, and I mentioned this game because of the ban that they just got put into the NCAA. Well, it was a self-imposed year ban, and I saw this point made on Twitter. It was like the first time in a long time where a program or a team that's in contention to win or even get into the tournament self-imposes a bowl ban. You just don't see that, or a tournament ban. You don't see that a lot. And this Arizona team, they were playing well. They had a couple of good wins. So it'll be interesting to see what will happen the rest of the year. Will they kind of check out, especially in terms of the commitment it takes to be a Division I athlete at the college basketball level? You're really not competing for anything, so we'll see. How that affects their team. Maybe they'll go out to more parties and have a bigger or a greater chance of getting in some COVID issues. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about my Friars here. I think this is actually a very important point because we see Providence. What they usually do is they'll lose some games early on, and then they'll get hot at the end of the season. And this is really what they did last year. And this game they played, so they lost to Butler last Wednesday, and that's not a good loss at all. They didn't play well at all. They couldn't shoot. So not a good loss. They shot 15% from three. And they played DePaul.
Well, it's better than what we did.
And they played DePaul, and it looked like they were going to lose again. They're down by 3 with 6 seconds left. And AJ Reeves is a 3 to tie the game, and I mean that's the second time he's hit that clutch shot. So he's money. They end up winning that game in double overtime. And they win today. They blow the doors off Butler today, and I think we might be starting to see them begin to get hot. And I'm going to look back at that DePaul game at the end of the year.
So they played the 2 worst teams in the Big East. They beat them in double overtime and lost to Butler the first time and then beat them again. And
well, what I'm saying is I'm going to look back at the DePaul game as a jumping off point for this team. If they lost that game,
the worst team in the Big East.
If they lost that game, they might be dead in the water. So anyway,
so I'm going to say the same thing when we beat Nebraska in double overtime.
All right, fine. Okay. So that's really all we got here. So let's move on to the picks. Not a good week for me in the picks. Let's just say that.
Shocker.
I went 12-13 this week. So I sit 4 games behind Mike, who is 73-34, went 17-8 last week. Luke went 14-11. He's 11 games back. We did pick this Tennessee-Missouri game. Tennessee is blasting Missouri right now, and we all picked Tennessee. So we'll see what happens there. But let's start next week's picks with number 21, Minnesota, and number 6, Wisconsin.
Where's this game being played?
Wisconsin.
Yeah, I don't expect Wisconsin to lose 2 straight. I know how well Minnesota's playing. This game will be very close, but I'm going to take Wisconsin.
I agree. I'm going to take Wisconsin. Number 16, Michigan at Maryland.
Ooh, it's again the easy start for the Wolverines' conference schedule. I mean, you could say it's easy, but they still can't look ahead of any of these teams. I think it'll be close, but Michigan will pull it out at the end.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be close. Michigan gets the job done. Colorado at USC.
Oh, man. Colorado, okay team. McKinley Wright's back, but they aren't as good as they were last year. I'll take USC.
Yeah, I guess I'll take USC as well. Number 8, Texas at number 3, Kansas.
Say number 8, Texas?
Yes.
You're telling me they're number 8? Jesus. I'm going to take Kansas.
I agree. Taking Kansas. Big game, as everybody knows. The biggest game of the week is always played at 12 o'clock on Fox on Saturday. That's why number 11, Creighton, is playing Providence at the Dunk at 12 o'clock on Fox on Saturday. Who you got?
Creighton.
I'm taking Providence. I think they're going to start to get hot.
Well, don't peak too early.
Number 12, Missouri at Arkansas.
Arkansas.
I'm going to take Missouri. It looks like they're going to lose this game. I don't think they're going to lose 2 in a row like that. Arkansas.
I think they're overrated.
Arkansas is due to lose.
They're nowhere near the number 14 team in the country. Let's just say that.
Well, we have some breaking news here at the Big 4 podcast. Josh Pastner has just secured a huge win. Georgia Tech
big win over North Carolina.
Georgia Tech has beaten North Carolina.
Let's go. They might make the tournament. They started off the year very rough. went to too many strip clubs, I guess, early on in the year, but they kind of cleaned their act up. And we got a big win over Kentucky, big win over North Carolina. And they're kind of doing what people expect them to do, be a top half of the ACC type of team.
And unless NC State loses this game to BC, which they are tied with 3 minutes left, unless they lose that game to BC, my new take is that NC State is the best team in the ACC.
Well, certainly it's in North Carolina.
Yeah, not anymore. Okay. Where were we? Number 10, Iowa. At number 14, Rutgers.
Ooh, yeah. This is going to be a game Iowa gets exposed. A team that plays great defense. But this is also a game where they can show that they can hang with these type of teams. They can do that. I'm going to take Rutgers. Who knows? It might take a Joe Wieskamp 3 banked off the window to win. If that happens, I'll be pissed. But I don't expect that to happen. I'm going to take Rutgers.
Oh, yeah. Very tough game here. I don't know. I think Iowa's going to be ready to go. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost. Just because this is the type of the team. This is one. No, they're really not the type of team that can beat them because they can't score with them.
Well, they can. Of course they can. Have you seen Rutgers this year?
Yeah,
they can score with anybody.
They can't.
Yes, they can.
So I'm going to take Iowa.
If you look at the best players on the floor, Iowa's got the best player, but Rutgers has the 2 players after him. They got Ron Harper and Geo Baker.
I'll take Wieskamp over both of them.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That is absurd.
All right. Number 9, West Virginia at Oklahoma.
Oh, God. Oklahoma, yeah, Lon Kruger's going to retire after the year. You know what? They looked okay against Texas Tech, but I don't think they're that great. I'm going to take West Virginia.
I agree. I'm taking West Virginia. Number 24, Virginia Tech at number 23, Virginia.
Ooh, yeah. Give me Virginia. I don't see them losing again. I still think Virginia is probably the best team in the ACC. I just think the ACC is this is probably the worst the ACC's been in. Oh God!
I don't know. I think there are a decent amount of tournament teams in the ACC, but those teams at the top are not like the teams at the top of other conferences.
Well, you just don't really see that much. I mean,
yeah, like I think they're deeper than usual.
You could say, oh, there's just a lot of tournament teams, but hey, they were all, from 3 seeds to 8 seeds, around there.
I think there's a lot of like
teams are like
6 seeds.
Yeah, the highest ACC team I wouldn't even put in the top 5 seed.
So, but they got the tournament teams. They got what? Virginia Tech, NC State probably, North Carolina probably, Duke.
No, North Carolina's not
maybe Georgia Tech. I mean, they got the tournament teams. Florida State, they're struggling. Clemson.
Clemson! I'm telling you, Clemson might.
They might be the best
team.
They might be the best team in the ACC. Low key.
Yeah, well, I've been saying it for a month. I'm telling you, they're the Baylor
No. You told me they were the Baylor of last year, where Baylor was in like the top 5 all season. So I don't want to hear it from you.
No, I didn't say they were going to be Baylor. I'm just saying they're the Baylor of this year.
That just doesn't make any sense.
Top 5.
If they're the Baylor of this year, they'll be in the top 5.
Trajectory. A team that's usually middle of the pack to bottom of the pack in the ACC comes in and wins the ACC. That's pulling a Baylor.
We'll see. Maybe they will. They got a big win yesterday. Okay.
Good team. They can shoot and they play very good defense. And Brad Brunell, who's on the hot seat this year, he's really coached well. Give credit to them.
All right. Purdue at number 15, Illinois.
Ooh, well, this is usually a matchup where Illinois struggles. Purdue's beaten them a couple times over the years. I think they'll win it, though. They're at home. I'll take Illinois.
Illinois. Number 17, Michigan State at Nebraska.
Well, I mean, you're 0-3 in the Big Ten. Both these teams are winless. One team's going to come out here with a win, and it's not going to be Michigan State. I'm taking Nebraska.
I'm taking Michigan State. Number 20, Duke, and number 18, Florida State.
Where's this game being played?
Florida State.
Yeah, listen, I know I said Virginia's going to win the ACC, but we don't really know a lot about Duke. I mean, they lost to 2 Big Ten teams. They beat an okay Notre Dame team. I don't really know. I think Duke's certainly got the highest ceiling of any team in the ACC, just with the talent they have. But no Jalen Johnson anymore. Yeah, I'll take Florida State.
I'm taking Florida State as well. Stanford at number 21, Oregon.
Oh God. Well, Oregon's not that good. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if they should really be ranked, to be honest with you. But my guy, the Rutgers transfer, Eugene
Amorie.
who should have stayed at Rutgers, because if he stayed at Rutgers, that they would have been unstoppable. I'm going to take Oregon just because of that.
Yeah, I'm going to take Stanford because this is the type of game they need to win and win the Pac-12, and I said they're going to win the Pac-12. So I'm taking Stanford. Okay, number 19, Northwestern, number 16, Michigan.
Where's this game?
Michigan.
Michigan.
Yeah, I agree. Take Michigan. Close. Number 6, Wisconsin at number 6, Wisconsin at Penn State.
Yeah, Wisconsin. Penn State. They've played a lot of teams close. They're losing to Indiana right now. I think they're probably the second to worst team in the Big Ten behind Nebraska and possibly Michigan State. They might be the third worst team. I'll take the team they're playing, Wisconsin.
Yeah, I'm going to take Wisconsin. Number 25, Ohio State at number 21, Minnesota.
Well, last year Minnesota thumped them up in Minneapolis, and I think they'll do the same thing this year. I'll take Minnesota.
I'm going to take Ohio State. I think Minnesota's due for a loss. Ohio State's been playing pretty well. I'll take them. Maryland at Indiana.
Give me Indiana. Listen, they've been playing great. They had a tough loss the other night against Northwestern, but they're beating Penn State right now. I think they'll get it done against Maryland.
Yeah, I think they'll win this game. This is the type of game where, people get all excited about Indiana after they win, and they just beat a terrible team. So I'll take Indiana. This is a very interesting game here. NC State at Clemson.
Well, I can't get off the Clemson bandwagon now. I'm going to take Clemson.
I'm taking NC State. Florida at Alabama.
Oh, well, Florida, we know the off-the-court issues and / on-the-court issues they've had last couple of weeks. But it's great to see Keontae Johnson back with the team, even though he can't play. But he's still a motivator. But I think Alabama's probably the better team. I'll take them.
I'm going to take Florida. Alabama has been terrible this year. It's Nate Oates is on the hot seat. They have been awful.
All right, let's calm down.
Number 14, Rutgers at number 17, Michigan State.
Well, can't take Michigan State right now the way they're playing, especially a team like Rutgers that plays their hearts out every game. They get every loose ball, every rebound. I'll take Rutgers.
I'm going to take Rutgers as well. Close. UConn at Marquette.
No, I have no idea why we're picking this game. I'll take Marquette. UConn sucks.
I'm going to take UConn. UConn's playing very well against DePaul right now.
Well, I'd hope so.
Number 21, Minnesota at number 16, Michigan.
I'll take Michigan.
I'm going to take Minnesota. This is the first loss of the year for Michigan right here. Okay, number 24, Virginia Tech at Louisville.
Louisville tried their hardest to choke against Kentucky, but they were able to pull it out at the end. I'm going to take Louisville in this game.
Louisville.
I'm not a huge fan of Virginia Tech.
I'm also going to take Louisville. This is another team in the ACC that'll probably make the tournament. Last game, Seton Hall at number 11, Creighton. Seton Hall just got a big win, upset win over Xavier.
Yeah, I'll take Creighton.
Yeah, I'm going to take Creighton as well. Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay, yeah, you can't say Michigan sucks today because your team sucks.
Well, Michigan does suck.
So that's going to do it.
Let's see. We play you in February, and the last game of the year, we'll see how it goes.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll be back sometime next week after the playoff games and the big week in the Big Ten, basketball-wise. Happy New Year. Thank you, everybody, for watching.